I'm Kendra, and this is the Such Nice Work podcast. This is my first podcast, and it's probably going to seem like that. But yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm really glad that you're here. So I'll do the usual thing everybody does and say welcome to new viewers, and theoretically you're all new viewers considering this is my inaugural podcast. But I guess you could be watching old episodes, which is what I love to do. Some of my favorite podcasters, I've watched everything they've ever made, even if they're on episodes up into the hundreds, which probably is a little pathetic that I've watched that many hours of podcasts, considering I've only been watching video podcasts for a few months. But that's what's going on. And that is part of the reason why I'm here. As indicated in my show title, I'm a podcast junkie, and I can speak too. I'm a podcast junkie, and some of you might be podcast junkies too. And I kind of decided that if you can't beat them, might as well join them. So here I am making a podcast. Who am I? I'm Kendra. I'm almost 30. I will be on Christmas, or the 25th of December, as I prefer to think of it. I live in rural Kansas with my husband and 3 kids. I am homeschooling. My 3 kids are all under the age of 6. Primarily, I'm homeschooling my daughter right now, who is in 1st grade, and we're starting to do tot-schooly, preschooly things with my older son, and my other son is currently teaching himself to walk. Yay! So I am teaching myself to chase him. It's not quite as bad with the 3rd kid, partially because the older ones can get between him and anything dangerous. I am not originally from Kansas. I'm originally from California. I grew up in Southern California when I was really young. And then I moved up north to the Sacramento-ish suburby area. And then I went to Chico State. And then I moved up north to Trinity County in California. So kind of near where the Naughty Knitter lives. And I like her podcast too. Hi, Patty! And then we ended up moving out to Kansas, and I live on a farm, though we do not farm, but we have a farm that belonged to my dad's family for over 100 years. My grandma was literally born in this house, and she lived in this house all but maybe like 2 or 3 years of her life. So that's kind of cool. We like living really rural. I can technically see my one neighbor, but it's the only neighbor I have for like a mile. And the only reason I can see her house is because when my grandma was growing up, her brother moved out and built his farmhouse on some of the family's land and split the farm, so we can see the house. But I can't hear her dog or anything. She can't hear mine, so my dog can bark and bark and bark and nobody knows, which is really cool, because yelling at dogs, not so great. I have 3 cats, one of whom you can see right, oh, let's see, there she is. That's Jezebel. And I also have Penelope around here somewhere, and Manelia. And outside we have our dog Esri, who is named after a character from Deep Space Nine on Star Trek, which is a series that I kind of got into recently. I ended up watching the whole thing, really liked it. I've been trying the other Star Trek series. They just haven't caught my interest quite the same way. Though my husband and I have been watching Next Generation, which I watched a lot of live in real time when I was growing up. And so that's kind of cool. It's definitely cool to see all of the old special effects. Let's see, other geekery things I'm into. I don't do Doctor Who. Just don't get it. Kind of thought the mannequins were creepy. Though I did used to watch a show when I was little that was all about this mannequin in a department store that like danced around and sang, and I have no clue what it's called. I wish I did, because then I could watch it on YouTube with my kids, because I'm sure it's out there. But I can't remember what it's called. So if any of you know the name of the show that used to be on Nickelodeon about the mannequin who danced around at night after the store closed, and I think there might have been a mouse. Anyways, if you know what that show is called, please let me know. But yeah, so that is what I've been up to. And those are my peoples. They all live here with me most of the time. I am being chased around by 3 children. But currently they are at the library, which is where you can usually find our family if we're not here. The library is about half an hour away, so currently my husband is there doing story time with them, which we do once a week, and recently he started taking our youngest with him too, so this is the only like 2 hours of the whole week that I am not at least partially responsible for children. And I usually crafted or was working on setting up some stuff for my Etsy store and that sort of thing. But now I decided to talk to you. So you have my full attention for my however long it takes me. Everyone keeps asking me how long is this podcast going to be. I don't know. I have a plan, kind of, but it might get kind of long. I kind of go off on tangents. I don't know if you've noticed. But one thing makes me think of another, and I like to go off on the tangents, but sometimes people in real life look at me like I'm crazy. But you have the option to turn me off if you want, and I will never know. So if it bothers you, go ahead and turn it off. I know that I like to hear what other podcasters are thinking and kind of their weird tangents. Frequently it makes me think of my own weird tangents. So we're just going to ramble, and yeah, that's kind of the plan for today. Why did I decide to start a podcast? That is a good question. I keep asking myself. I started a podcast because I watch a lot of them, and I kind of found them by mistake. I discovered iTunes audio podcasts when we moved to Kansas with my daughter, when she was a baby. I started listening to some audio podcasts, mostly like podcasts of moms talking about stuff, and I thought that was really cool. And then most recently, the podcast I've really enjoyed has been Pop Culture Happy Hour from NPR. And then I kind of listened to their whole backlog, and I didn't have any more. And after that point, I had learned to crochet because I taught myself in about February, I think, after my son was born. So I needed something to do while I was nursing. And I decided that crocheting was going to be that thing because I'd always wanted to learn to do it. It was the one crafty thing I didn't do. But anyways, yes, I was listening to Pop Culture Happy Hour. I ran out of those. I searched iTunes for other things that were kind of interesting to me. I really wasn't in any of the pop culture ones I could find. And I discovered some knitting podcasts. And then I kind of found out that knitting podcasts are like a thing. I didn't know what Ravelry was. And I started listening to some podcasts and found out that Ravelry existed. And that was kind of cool. At the beginning, it was just kind of cool because I really liked the pattern database. I had been looking online for free patterns. A lot of the stuff I could find was kind of junk. Though, I mean, a lot of what I can find on Ravelry can be junk too. But there's an easier way to weed through the stuff. And I discovered the Traveling Sock Knitter was the first video podcast I ever watched because I had kind of gone through iTunes available audio podcasts that I liked and that were downloading because I was having some weird internet problems. But anyways, Traveling Sock Knitter, I started watching Hannah and I liked her and I thought the idea was kind of cool. I thought that she was like coming up with this new thing. Then I found out that no, this thing existed. And I started looking into it, and I found some on YouTube. One of the first podcasts I remember really like binge watching, the Weasley sisters. So I watched Jessica and Alina. They're really into the Harry Potter Knit and Crochet House Cup. And listening to all of the stuff that they've been doing got me to watch all the Harry Potter movies, which I had bought on like super sale at Walmart a couple years ago for my birthday, and they had all just been sitting on my shelf and I hadn't watched them. And I think I watched all of them in 3 days after my kids had gone to sleep, and that was kind of cool. Crocheted, watched Harry Potter, found out what actually happened in the books, because I had heard the audiobooks of the first few stories a lot. Because my mom listened to them in the car. And so I knew what happened, and then I kind of hit the age where I moved out of the house, and I never found out how it ended. But now I know, and it ends kind of epic, and that's cool. So I had considered maybe trying to do the House Cup, but then instead I decided I was going to start trying to sell my stuff, and that doesn't leave a lot of time for personal crafting. So after I watched the Weasley sisters, I stumbled upon Josh from Sort of a Knitter, and I sort of liked him. I really liked how honest he was, and how it felt like, I don't know, like it was meaningful to him that you were watching what he had to say. And that was kind of cool. I like the feeling of connection that you got when you watched. Not to mention, he is incredibly talented, and seeing his work and how excited he is about it, and how much time and energy he clearly puts into it, was kind of cool. So I watched that, and then I went back and I watched everything he had in his backlog too. And yeah, I enjoyed listening to him. I still do. He's one of podcasts I listen to regularly. Then I kind of discovered 3 podcasts in a row of couples, and I really liked all of them. So those 3 would be Knitting in Circles, so Amy and Darren, and they're fun to watch. Whenever I watch them, they seem like people you want to be friends with. I like that they get along. A lot of times you see things in pop culture and whatever, and it's just people, like, I don't know, snarking about their spouse, and I don't know, I think you should be friends with your spouse. They're your spouse for a reason, or else I guess you just should have picked better. But I like to hang out with my husband. I figure that you probably like to hang out with your partner, or at least you should. I hope you do. So in addition to watching Amy and Darren and seeing all the stuff that they do, and listening to their fun banter, I also watched the Bakery Bears, and so Dan and Kay, and they seem to get along as well too. They're fun to watch. It's cool to see all of the adventures they come up with to go on together and do. And I know that they've got stuff going on right now, and I'm glad that they still have taken some time to let the rest of the world in and see them having fun when they can. I also watch Apple Blossom and You, which I realized this morning I did not watch yet this week. And so when I get done with this, that is what I'm going to do, is watch Apple Blossom and You. I started watching them in real time, and I was like, well, I'm not going to just binge watch back catalog of any other podcast, because that made me feel pathetic. But then I liked watching them, and so I went back and watched all of the episodes that Sarah and Matt had on YouTube. Most of the podcasts I watch are on YouTube, just because my computer seems to load them better. I have internet through my phone company, but I live, like I said, in the middle of nowhere, so it's not really necessarily the fastest, which I am a little curious how long this is going to take to upload to YouTube. We will see. Let's see, what else do I watch? Because I don't really want to leave anybody out. I'm sure I will leave somebody out. I'm sorry. If I do, I will catch you next time. Who else do I watch? I watch Bunnyfish Crafts, and I enjoy seeing Heather. I like that she has kids, because I can relate to that. I feel like a lot of things in life are adults pretending that they don't have kids, or pretending they don't like spending time with their kids, or maybe they don't like spending time with their kids. But I like spending time with my kids. I chose to have them on purpose, and part of that purpose was because I wanted little humans to hang out with, and they are turning out to be little humans I quite enjoy, even if they're driving me crazy. But yeah, I like how Heather is realistic. What else? Where did I kind of mixed up my pages. Where are my notes? Oh yeah, another thing that I've been watching, Mando Bug Crafts. I also enjoyed. I liked Manda because she's, I don't know, she reminds me a lot of myself. She has a little bit of everything. She seems to be fairly good at learning new things, and gaining those skills. And I like to think the same is true of myself. I do most crafty things. I always said I did all the crafty things except the yarny things. I did not knit or crochet. But otherwise, I cross stitch, and I bead, and I sew, and I quilt. And I can make a lot of things. I don't draw. My drawing is very, very bad. It has been very, very bad since I was a child. But I could put things together nice. I could always make a crafty solution to those assignments that required you to draw. But yeah, now I can crochet too. I do not knit. I know. Knitting podcast, dish thingy, fiber podcast. We'll call it that. Because I like to think of everybody as fiber folk. Or yarny people. You know, people whose hearts are made out of wool. Or mostly, in my case, acrylic. Because my life has to be extremely washable. And I don't have time for lay flat to dry. Things either get hung on the line, outside, or they go in the dryer. That's real. Don't have time for hand wash. I have enough laundry as it is. And I don't want to ruin anything I spent that much time on. So yeah, most things in my life are acrylic. What other podcast did I have listed? Oh, Dancing Geek. I've enjoyed watching James. He is the podcast that tipped me over the edge to make my own podcast. Quite possibly because his podcasts are extremely long. Which maybe that's his gimmick, because I know everybody says that about his podcasts, that they are really long. I know a lot of people don't like that. I do. I like it because it feels like you get to hang out with him for a long time. He can be on for a whole evening, whereas usually I have to flip back and forth and find, you know, something to fill my time in the evening after the older kids go to bed. My husband works nights, so he is asleep in that evening time. So I have to find something to fill that time and an adult to be around. So yeah, when Dancing Geek comes out, I only have to turn on one podcast and it lasts me the whole evening. So that's kind of cool. I like that he is super authentic. There's not a lot of people in life that are really authentic. I'm hoping to be authentic. Though I have found that in the yarny community, people are a little more authentic than the average people I come across. But you know, every group has their good and their bad. But yeah, so that's kind of why I decided to start a podcast. Because I sat through these other podcasts and I kept thinking, oh, if I had a podcast, I would say this. Or if I had a podcast, I would talk about this. Or when I'll be working on a project, I think, oh, if I showed this, I would point out this about it. Or it would be cool for someone to see this. Or to get in touch with these people, because they seem to have found these cool communities by putting themselves out there. So here I am, putting myself out there. Which is a little strange, because anybody who knows me in real life knows that I have been very anti-technology and technological communication. Kind of, like I don't have a smartphone. I was going to sign up for Instagram and stuff, so that way I could like connect with you all that way, and have that as an option. But I don't have a smartphone, and I didn't readily see how I could get on Instagram without one. So if you know, and there was a way, let me know. But it appeared that I needed to download the app to whatever device, and I have no device. I have a stupid phone, and that is on purpose. My phone is purely for making phone calls. In fact, I have text messaging blocked on my phone, which, by the way, you can do. I have it blocked because I didn't like paying for ads that got texted to me, and I don't text. I figure I know very little important information that has been said in a text, and if you want to talk to me, call me on the phone. Or email me. Email is always good with the kids. Email is incredible because I can start writing it, and then I can get interrupted, and I can come back. And sometimes it can take me all day to write a message to somebody, and that's okay. But I haven't really liked the whole idea of Facebook. We have had many friends and relatives once we started having kids that were like, hey, Kendra, you should post pictures of your kids on Facebook. And I always thought, why? I don't know. I didn't like the idea that they didn't really have a say in it, and that someday they might not like me posting their bathtub pictures on the internet. So maybe when they get older and I felt like they were making a conscious choice, I might change my mind. But as of right now, no kids on the internet. And I always was kind of offended by the idea of family members really wanting me to post to Facebook, because I thought, if you really want to know what's going on in my life, call me. I'm here. I'm not gone that much. You should know how to get a hold of me. And I would rather the people that want information to really, I don't know, want to interact with what's going on in our lives. I also, I don't email pictures of my kids to family members. I send them hard copies because I feel like they're more meaningful. You don't take as much time anymore to print pictures out. But when you do, you know that picture's special. It's not one of the 1,000 pictures you took while you were at whatever. It's, I went and printed out these 10 pictures because they are meaningful to me. And I would hope they are meaningful to you. That's why I mailed them to you. That sort of thing. I remember the other night I was watching Gilmore Girls, which is a series I've watched over and over and over again. And it was the episode where Rory and Lorelai go to Yale. And they take, or no, Yale. They go and they take pictures. And then they come back and they show the grandma all the pictures. And they made them into slides, which the grandma was like, can I just go through the pictures? She said, no, everyone just thumbs through pictures, but with slides. It's like a presentation. And that's kind of true. I remember when I was little and I went to Y Camp for a week in the summer, and we had this one night toward the end of the week where we would do a slideshow, and they would take pictures all week, and then they would go and have them made into slides in town, and we would all sit around and watch what we did. And it was just so cool to see yourself in like big on a screen, and everyone would ooh and ah, and I don't know, in some ways maybe being on YouTube's the same thing. Maybe I'll watch it in ooh and ah. But really, it's a little strange. Filming this is a little strange because I'm having a conversation with myself, and myself is not really responding. But maybe you're like yelling at the screen or mentally thinking things at me. But I can't hear the voices in your head. They're just in your head. So if your voices in your head would like to tell my voices something, please contact me. I don't know if I told you how to contact me. First of all, underneath me, there's a comment box. You can comment there. You can also go to my blog, Cutesy Poo Creations, CUTSEYPUCreations.blogspot.com, which is one of the places this video will be posted. And you can comment there. Or you can find me on Ravelry. You can personal message me. My name there is Kendra, KENDRA, KS. KS for Kansas. So yeah, all of that will be in the show notes as well. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm here and what I'm doing. If there's something you would like to see more of, less of, none of, I don't know, let me know. And I will see what I can do. So let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, where I got the name for my podcast. The podcast is called Such Nice Work. And I've been trying to think, what would I call my podcast? What would I call it? And I thought about whenever I make something, my mom has always gone, oh, Kendra, you do such nice work. And I was like, well, this is this new thing I'm making. And is it going to be such nice work? We can hope. So, such nice work. And I think that's a really cool way to be brought up. And I try and do the same thing for my kids. I hope you all realize I probably think the same thing about your work, that just doing something and making something is meaningful. And it's nice. And anything you make is such nice work. So, I hope that you are making some nice work right now as you are listening to me ramble on. That I'm going to have a sip of tea. Today, I'm drinking plain black tea. And I'm going to have to make myself a little cozy because my tea has already gotten quite cool. But it's still tasty. I do love tea. Though ordinarily I drink a lot more coffee in the summertime. But we are getting into fall and winter, so I'm about ready to make the switch over to tea, where I basically just consume hot tea to warm myself from the inside out. It is a little cold in my house today. It is cool-ish outside. Fall has arrived in Kansas. And we are kind of moving toward winter. We had a night a couple days ago that was in the 20s. And that was cold. Though not as bad as in years past, because this year we had a wood stove put in. And we're still learning how to use it. And we're still learning how to regulate the temperature in the house. But I can keep my house above 65 without turning on the heat, which will be nice because propane is ridiculous. Ridiculous. And I don't want to pay for it this year if I can help it. We also put in new windows in the house this year. So that should help a lot. I can no longer feel drafts coming through, and hopefully this year there will be no snowflakes coming in the windows, because in years past, yes, it has snowed inside my house via my kitchen window, and that is not cool. It should not snow indoors. So yes, I shall move on to work in progress, or whips. I was thinking of cute names for my sections and what I thought. Whips. What does whip mean to me? Because it's not really a phrase I use. And then I realized what it is in my life. Whip. Will I procrastinate? Will I procrastinate and move on to something else? Or will I prioritize and get it done? So, some of my whips that I have going on right now. I am currently, I think I've mentioned in passing, I have also, in addition to starting a podcast, I have started going to some localish craft shows, which is something I've been wanting to do since I graduated from college. Thought, hey, I'm not going to use my 2 majors. I'm going to go and sell crafts at craft shows. And then in the summer after I got married, I found this awesome job, I thought, for me and my husband on Craigslist. And we went up, and on Lewiston Lake, which is up in Northern California, we managed a fishing resort, which was fun till it wasn't fun anymore. But that had more to do with the working environment than the actual job, and it was beautiful, and we really liked it there. But yeah, I ran the office and the housekeeping stuff and all of that, and my husband took care of maintenance and all of the outdoor stuff. The property had a lot of maintenance that was needed. So we did that, and so I never started selling my wares. And then after I had my daughter, I just never really went back to work, or that I just wanted to stay home with her. So I did. And then I went and I worked at a bank for a while here, and then I wanted to be home. So I came home, and now I'm home with the kids and homeschooling and all that fun stuff. But I still wanted to do something, and I had some time, and these hands wanted to craft and crochet and do whatever, but I was making more stuff than I needed for myself, so I am now making stuff to sell. I have so far had 1 show that was in October. That wasn't really a show. It was promised it should have been a show. Basically, it was just an opportunity for me to go listen to some good polka. It was a good dress rehearsal. Proved that selling stuff didn't give me major anxiety, which I thought it might have. But no, that went okay. This week I'm going to work on my new displays for that. But I am going to a bigger show in Lawrence on the 16th of November. And Lawrence is about 2.5 hours away from me. But Lawrence actually has a population. It is where Kansas University is. Or University of Kansas. KU. Anyways, Jayhawks. It's their territory. That's where I'm going. But yeah, they actually have people there. There's only like 150 people in the town I live in. And my family is 5 of them. So yeah, not so much for the selling stuff here. But I will be going a little further away from home for that. So I am currently making for that. In my store, I make crocheted items. I have stuff for women and kids and holiday stuff, like garlandy things, decorative items, stocking stuffery things right now, capes, shawls, what have you. And then I also make handmade cards and stationery and things of that nature, which you will see stuff as I kind of get it completed. I don't have it all with me right now because I figure you don't necessarily want to see all the backlog that I have made. But works in progress. What I am working on is getting things together for Lawrence. Right now I've been making some of these, like I still need to tie in my ends and stuff. But this is going to be like a card holder. This is the right size to fit about, I don't know, 3 to 6 of my cards. So this would be a good stocking stuffery item, made out of some lovely red heart shimmer. Especially for the things that I sell, it's primarily red heart, Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. Some Lion Brand stuff. All very big boxy yarn. Very durable. Inexpensive. You know, there's always that talk about whether somebody's knit worthy. People that I think in my region that are going to buy stuff are not looking for Madeline Tosh. Oh, they might be looking for it, but they are not willing to pay for it. So, in order to make any sort of profit, yeah, big box yarn. That's kind of my budget is right now. So I'm making these. Also, I am working on, this is a stationery organizer. It's very bright, but I know that neon is kind of a thing right now. It's kind of, this kind of yarn has actually been really exciting to work with, and it kind of, I think it made the white balance get kind of funny. But anyways, it's been fun. This is in Red Heart Super Saver, and this is Day Glow, and this one, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name. It will all be in the show notes, but it is an organizer. So on the inside, there's like this pocket. I need to stitch some of it closed, and there will be room for paper and envelopes and cards and a pen and all that. Then it closes, and it has a little like a button bandy thing. But yeah, I made up this pattern myself. Just kind of, I've been making these out of fabric for years, and I decided I would crochet some up to go with my other things. So that's that work in progress. I have also been working on making napkin rings. These napkin rings, I have some gold and some orange napkins I picked up at a craft store on super sale a while ago. These are made out of Red Heart Shimmer. There's my camera. Okay. They're kind of cool. They're made from a Drops design pattern, which will be linked in my show notes too. I've made a few Drops design patterns lately, and I really enjoy them. I've heard people complain before. I think it might be because they are not, I've heard they're kind of written in a more European style. They're not overly specific. They don't walk you through like step by step. But in some ways, since they don't handhold you through the whole pattern, there are fewer places for you to mess up the pattern. Because sometimes when I'm going step by step, if the designer leaves out one little step, but they've been giving you all the others, things get messed up, and I don't know why. But yeah, so I've been enjoying making these. I have like 4 or 5 of them done. I'm going to keep making till this ball of yarn is gone, and then we'll see how many different napkins that makes napkin holders for. So I thought those were kind of fun, kind of good for the season coming up for Thanksgiving-y type things. The other thing that I am working on right now is for my husband's uncle. I was inspired while watching In a Snit. I cannot remember her name right now. But one of the people on In a Snit made I think it was the Red Sox, that she made a scarf for. And you can see all my ends. This is going to be a nightmare. But my husband's uncle likes the Giants. And so it turned out he could be super excited because the Giants won the World Series, which is exciting in our house too because my husband is a Giants fan, though he would much prefer the A's to win. But Giants nonetheless. And this is their record for the year. And this is just going to be the regular season. This camera thing is very confusing. I now understand when people keep going, can't find my left from my right. It's weird. You should try it. Very strange. It'll give you a lot more compassion for the person who is struggling on screen. But I figured it out. So where's my little paper that tells me what is what? I haven't actually worked on this in like a week and a half because I consider this personal knitting, even though it's going to be for Christmas. But I feel really bad. Not knitting. Personal crocheting. Yarny work. You know, whatever. But this is for me, and I feel like I should only be working on things that might be income worthy right now, at least until the show, because I don't really know how much stock I'm going to need. I probably have way more than I do need, but I feel really dumb if I sold out, or if I could have sold more and I didn't because I wasn't prepared and I had been doing what I considered fun stuff. So until the 16th of November, I'm kind of on a fun freeze. No fun stuff for me. unless I think I might decide to sell it. Then I can do some fun stuff. Like right now, might be working on some leg warmers, which I think I forgot to bring over here. But I might just decide to sell them because I can. Anyways, with the scarf, the orange is for the home wins. And the dark gray is for the home losses. And the black is for the away wins. And the light gray is for the away losses. And so I went through on MLB.com and found out like all of their things. And I wrote down what colors I would need because that was easier. And I am like in the middle of the second column. So I have a lot to do. And then I also think I want to make an accompanying hat for the postseason in like bigger stripes of color. Because I think that'd be kind of cool. He lives in Santa Barbara, so I don't know that he's going to get to wear it a lot. But I don't know. He can like wave it around when they play or something. I don't know. I think it's just kind of cool. Shows you care. Because I think that's a really personal thing is what sports team you like. And especially if it's something you follow really closely. That then, you know, a present that's very specific to that. And my other big, what other work in progress? Oh, this one. My other big work in progress is this Afghan that I started last summer. I started it it was in May-ish because my in-laws were here visiting. But it is for my husband's cousin. She got married last April? Maybe April before. Anyways, she has now been married over a year. And by the time I finish it, she'll probably be married 2 years. But it's fairly large. It's hard to show large things too. But it is called here's my pattern. And I can find the page. I really can. This is a free pattern off redheart.com. For a while, I was making a lot of their patterns. They actually, for crochet stuff, they have a lot of really nice patterns. And this I actually, I think I even made it. Oh, no, I didn't use the kind of yarn they called for. I don't know that I've actually made anything, maybe one thing since I've been making stuff that I've made out of the actual yarn that is called for. Not just colorway, actual kind of yarn. But anyways, this is the Basket Weave Diamond Throw and Pillow. And I am just doing the throw. And this is out of Super Saver Tweed. I want to say Mulberry is the color. I will include that in the show notes too. But this has been living on my chair upstairs because it got too hot this summer and I quit working on it because it grew itself into a full-size blanket, and this blanket is heavy. I'm a little concerned that it might be too warm. My husband's cousin lives in Georgia, and I know it can be pretty sweltery there. But I also know that they have had some unseasonably cold winters lately, and nobody is prepared. So maybe having a nice thick blanket for their couch, if we have another winter like last, will be good. If nothing else, I just think it's really pretty that it shows the designs and stuff. But I am done with this section, and this was the center. So I basically only have a repeat of this junk to go, the basket weave section. So hopefully I will get around to finishing this around the beginning of the year. If I could finish it in time to send it to them for Christmas, that'd be kind of awesome. But I don't know if that is going to be realistic because, like I said, till the 16th, I am on show crochet. And then, and making cards. But then after that, I got to make my own Christmas presents. And this is one of those. So we'll see. I'm fairly fast. I just don't know if I'm fast enough. So those would be my will I procrastinates. Chances are, yes, I will procrastinate. But I will prioritize something. I just don't know that it will be any of these items. Priority might be to start something new. So my FOs, which I don't think of as FOs. When I was little, I do a lot of saying when I was little. Is that weird? I don't know. I just tend to relate things to my childhood. Maybe you do too. I wish more people would tell me about when they were little. When I was little, and I completed things. My mother, the same one who so lovingly told me I do such nice work, used to sing a song called I'm Proud of You. So when I did something, she'd go, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you, I hope that you are proud of you too. And so still in my head, when I complete something, I sing myself the song. And sometimes I sing other people the song when they complete things. So now when you complete something, you can hear me singing, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you, I hope that you are proud of you too. Because you should be. When we finish things, we should be proud. And yeah, so things that I am proud of. Well, first of all, this is a finished object, this cowl. This cowl is made out of this yarn. This is from Hobby Lobby. It's called Yarn Bee Effervesce in Creamsicle. And I found a skein of this. It's so smooshy and I love it and I can't stop touching it whenever I have it out. I bought one skein on clearance at Hobby Lobby when I was starting to, you know, gather supplies for my shop. And I thought I'd make something that was like Halloween-y because I was going to this Artoberfest thing and so I would make fall themed stuff. Well, then I started working with it and I love this yarn, which clearly there's a reason Hobby Lobby named their yarns I love this yarn. This is Yarn Bee. But there is a lot of yarn from there where I think I love this yarn. But I got this yarn and I really liked it and it was so squishy. And it was one of those things where I really wanted to keep working on the project and finish it because I wanted to keep touching it. But then at the same time I didn't want to finish it because when I was done touching it. So I made this and I finished it out and I was like, I think I'm going to need one of those to come and live with me. So next time we went to Hobby Lobby, I went and I found out there were a couple more skeins that had been on clearance that I hadn't bought because I was trying to be, you know, good little yarn piggy and not buy it all. But then I bought the rest. And yeah, so I have made some. I've actually sold one of these because I had the woman touch it, and once you touch this yarn, you want to keep touching it. So yeah, so I have another one to make. This is a full skein. I just, it is in a pattern called the So Lush Cowl, and it is from a woman's blog, and I apologize, I don't have that information either. Too many things for my little brain to hold that I needed to have for today's show, so that will all be show noted as well. But anyways, I really like this cowl pattern. It is just half trebles, which I had never done the half treble stitch. I like it. It's just like you double wrap like you're going to do a treble crochet, and you go through the first loop, and then instead of just going through the second and the third singly, you go through the second and third together like you would on a half double crochet. And it makes a slightly different look to the stitch. It's a really nice stitch. It feels good. I don't know, some stitches feel better than others. But yeah, so the half treble. And that's all that this is, but it ends up making a kind of lush looking cowl. It's squishy, it's warm. This is in a style where you could like hood it if you wanted. I don't know that I will ever wear it like this, though I don't know. If it's really cold, there's a good chance I would do this under my jacket and then even maybe put a hat on because then my ears would be warm. That is kind of nice. My ears are a little cold right now, actually. Oop, stuck on my flexi clip. There we go. So this is done. What else did I finish? Right now I have a whole bag of things that need their ends woven in. So I don't know if those are finished or not. I'm going to say they're not, and I will show them to you next time. Because I'm going to weave in those ends this week. But we just had Halloween, and we did not go trick-or-treating because it was ridiculous cold here. And that's just not fun. Not to mention the whole begging for candy, just, I don't know. Anyways, we live out of town, so we would have had to drive into town, and I don't know. So we didn't go. But my kids did have costumes because we had gone to a Halloween event that my daughter danced at the week before. And I actually made them these this summer. It is a superhero cape. I've been selling these too. I made up this pattern because I liked when they have things that they need to tie around their necks. It's constantly like, Mom, tie this. Mom, untie this. Back and forth. And that's just annoying. But this, they can just slide over their little head. Like so. And it actually fits over an adult head too. And then, you know, they've got their little superhero cape, and they can run around and be all supery, and I made matching little masks, which I don't think my head fits in this, so I won't try it on for you. But I made little eye holes. But my son doesn't like wearing his, so he just wears it as like a nifty headband. And that's kind of cool too. And then I also made the kids each a communication cuff so that they can like wear it on their arm and talk to each other. They think those are pretty fun. I put their initials on them. So this one belongs to my son. And he is 2. And there's his O. And then this is my daughter's. It has an I on it. These are made out of Red Heart Super Saver. This is the Blacklight colorway with pretty in pink as the letter. And this is Mexicana with, I want to say this is pumpkin, but it might be the other orange. No, that's not pumpkin. This is the other orange. But that was just scraps of yarn that I had around that I made the letters out of. But yeah, those are their capes. And then I also made her a mask, which it's basically just a ribbed headband that I worked up that kind of fit around their head. But then I left a space where I did some double trebles to leave enough room for their eyes, and I chained around it. So they're pretty cool, and she has a little cuff as well so they can communicate back and forth. So that is what I have completed this week. I've made a lot of cards, but I won't show you all the cards. If you want to see what kind of cards I've made, you can go to my Etsy store. There's links on my places. Plus, I don't want it to sound like I'm like pimping my stuff, because that's not the point. It's just kind of what I'm doing right now, so I talk about it a lot. But I'm not, I don't know. I don't want to be pushy, because I'm not trying to be pushy. It's just what I'm doing. Let's see. So what am I reading? I have been reading Anne of Green Gables to the kids, and I realized I had never read the whole Anne of Green Gables series when I was a kid, and it is awesome. I had actually decided a little while ago that I wanted to read it, and so I started reading it to myself, and it's a book that really wants to be read aloud. I highly suggest you read it. I highly suggest that you read it out loud, and not like Audibles, I'm listening to an ebook of it. No. I think you should read it aloud, because that is really fun. The words are really cool. Anne is she has a temper, and she just rambles and goes off about things, and it's exciting, and yes, she's always in the depths of despair, and things are always giving her a thrill, and so now, you know, whenever anything goes wrong, I think, I am in the depths of despair. Or, ooh, that gave me a thrill. So right now, I hope that you are all feeling that thrill thing and not the depths of despair thing. But, I don't know. We'll see. But now, whoop, there I am. We've moved on to the second book. We're reading Anne of Avonlea. It is really good, too. I don't know if I like it quite as well, but we're still kind of just getting into it. The kids are enjoying it. They asked to hear it. It's really cute to hear my son go, Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Green Gables. And then he goes, oh no, Anne of Avonlea, Anne of Avonlea. Because I keep correcting him. Because I would like him to realize that there are more than one book in the series. But yeah, so Anne of Avonlea is what we're reading. And then that kind of leads into what we've been watching. Yesterday, we actually watched the Anne of Green Gables movie that we checked out from the library. Those books are from the library too. Because, well, why not if you can get them for free, right? So I think for my birthday, I might be getting myself a hardcover set of Anne of Green Gables, because I've always wanted that set of books. And I think I'm going to want to read them again, because I really enjoyed them. So, we watched the Anne of Green Gables movie. And I was going to just turn it on for the kids in the evening, because after they take their nap, they usually get up and we watch something on Netflix, because we don't have cable. We haven't had TV for like, I don't know, I think it's over a year now. But we quit paying for it because it was just dumb. And we had an electrical storm come through and fry our TV, like our big TV. And rather than replace it, we just got rid of it and started subscribing to Netflix. And that works out good. But yeah, so we rented the movie from the library, Anne of Green Gables, and that movie is 195 minutes. That's right, that's 3 hours and 15 minutes. And the way I think of that is it is 1 minute longer than Titanic. Because I remember that Titanic was 3 hours and 14 minutes. Why do I remember that? Because it came out when I was in middle school. And I saw it 3.5 times. Because of the movie that is 3 hours and 14 minutes, you can see a movie a half of a time, and it is worth noting. So, I saw it 3.5 times. Oh, I should say in theater. I saw it many other times on tape. Back in the day when it was on 2 tapes. Yeah, VHS. Gotta love that. So yeah, we watched that. It was really good. It was very similar to the book, which I appreciate. They did take some events and like smoosh them together to make, I don't know, fewer scenes. So things that would have happened in separate chapters, even if they were like way far apart in the book, happened together. But for the most part, they captured the essence pretty closely. I'm going to have to try and hunt down the other Anne of Green Gables, the sequel, and The Story Continues, I think, are the other movie titles. But I'll wait till we get through those books. It's going to take us a while. Other things I have been watching on Netflix. I've actually watched a lot of Netflix this week, and I watched some really good stuff. I watched a movie called The Pill, which was kind of funny. I don't know what made me click on it. But it's basically a guy and a girl hook up, and then he spends the day with her because he wants her to take the morning after pill, both doses. And it was okay. But the part that I liked is his girlfriend in the movie is the girl from My Girl, whose name is escaping me. But, you know, she played Veda Saltonfest. Because I can remember Veda Saltonfest, but I can't remember the girl's name. I think her last name starts with a C. Anna Klumsky? Anyways, the same summer camp that I said we watched slides at, the cook there thought I looked like her. I don't think I look like her. But it's the only famous person I've ever been compared to. So, I don't know. That always stuck in my head. But anyway, she was there, and I hadn't really seen her in much, other than she was in a Hallmark movie, I want to say, a year and a half ago. And I thought it was cool to see her in something again, because I liked her in My Girl, and I hadn't seen her in anything since that. And she was in some movie about some search for gold or something in Alaska. Also, when I was younger, but nothing of recent. But it seems like she's back in movies, and that's cool. I also watched a documentary called I Know That Voice. It is awesome. Awesome. So if you have Netflix, you should go and watch the documentary I Know That Voice. But don't expect to get crafting done while you're watching it, because you need to look at the screen. Because all of these voice actors that you know are on there, and they're giving all these interviews about being a voice actor, a lot of it in the character voices. So it's cool to see the people's faces with the character voices, and then on the bottom it says their name and then the characters that they do, and it kind of scrolls through all the different characters, because most voice actors do a lot of characters. So it was pretty cool. I enjoyed that, and I keep telling people they should see it. So yeah, Netflix. What else did I watch? I also watched a movie called One Day, which I really enjoyed. It had Anne Hathaway in it, and James? No, Sturgis. His last name is Sturgis. Anyways, they're British. It was good. It was about people in college who meet, and then you follow them for many years in the future on this same day of every year. I know that a lot of the comments on Netflix said it was really slow. It is kind of slow, but I kind of feel like a movie like that should be slow. Because life is slow, and if you're going to check in with somebody once a year, some years are definitely better and more exciting than others. And some years are not. And it's been a long time since I watched something and it actually made me go like, oh, my jaw drop. This one had a scene that made my jaw drop. And then it dropped for a while. I was like, oh my goodness, they did that. And not that I couldn't believe that it happened, because I'm not giving anything away. It was more I couldn't believe the cinematography of said scene happening. So that was kind of interesting. I enjoyed that. I also have been watching with the kids. We've been watching Play With Me Sesame. We watch a lot of kids shows on Netflix. Netflix has recently changed the way they have Sesame Street on there, and I don't like the new way they're doing it. They don't have all the episodes from each season. They have them like chunked up by type, and I don't want to watch, 3 episodes of animals all chunked together. I want to watch one about animals and then one about like cars or whatever. Kind of all over the place. But Play With Me Sesame is really cool because it has some of the, like a group of the modern characters like Prairie Dawn and Grover and Ernie host it. And then they show segment, oh, and Bert. Bert's there too. My daughter thinks Bert's mean and that Bert doesn't like Ernie. But I say, yes, they're friends. Bert tolerates Ernie. They show clips from old Sesame Street, like 70s Sesame Street, back when Sesame Street used to be really good and not all about Elmo's World. So that's really cool, because I like Muppets. Muppets are fun. If you want to, like, fall headfirst down a rabbit hole and spend hours and hours smiling, Muppets Wiki has so much information about every Sesame Street character, all of the Muppets in general. But it'll tell you, like, who did the work and what episodes they were in, who did the voices, and it's cool. So sometimes when I need a smile, I will go and look at the Muppets Wiki. But it's a dangerous place to go because I can just, stay there for a long time. So that has been what I've been watching. So another thing that I want to talk about was, it's apparent you're a parent, because I am a parent. And that's something I say a lot when you do things. You're like, well, it's apparent you're a parent. So the other day, I was driving my daughter to dance class, and I was going through a book of CDs that had been in the trunk of my car. And anyways, it was out, and I thought I should listen to an actual physical, like, CD in the CD player of my car instead of my iPod. So I got out a CD, and it was a burned CD from when I was in college, and written on it in Sharpie was Booty Shaker, which really, I'm an idiot because I should know that when you have your 5-year-old and your less than 1-year-old in the car, a CD called Booty Shaker is probably not going to be what you want to listen to with them. But I figured, how bad could it be, right? So I turned it on, and the first song was Beyonce's Naughty Girl, which really not a super dirty song, right? Except that my daughter from the back seat, who has been like acting like she's not paying attention to anything, just goes, Mom, did she say she's a naughty girl? And then starts asking me about it. In which case I realized, maybe, So I'm like, oh yeah, she just means she's gonna go have fun. So then it goes to the next song. And then I realized that it's like Tipsy and Get Low and like all of these Booty Shaker songs, which should have been indicated by what was written in Sharpie on the front. So that was the end of us listening to that CD for the day. So we listened to something else, which was a CD I also had from college, which had music on it that made me feel like I was in college again. I kind of like how music can do that. It makes you feel like you're, back in that moment. It was funny. Yesterday I was listening to an NSYNC CD I found in there, which my mom had bought for me after NSYNC was cool. I was a Backstreet Boys girl, not an NSYNC girl, thank you very much. But I had the NSYNC CD in there, and so we were listening to it, and she informed me it sounded like the Imagination Movers. I don't know if that would make the NSYNC guys feel good, but once she pointed that out, a bunch of the songs did kind of sound like the Imagination Movers, who are favorites in our household. But yeah, so after that, this is where I would talk about my lemonade stand, or kind of the stuff that's going on in my store. But I've been talking about myself the whole time. So I will skip a lot of that this week. But yeah, just, my lemonade stand portion, I have an Etsy shop. Currently, all that's up there is cards, because my yarny things I'm kind of keeping back because I want to make sure I have enough for Lawrence. But after I get back, well, hopefully I won't have anything to list from that. But otherwise, some of that stuff will be going up. But I'm sure that if you want something yarny, you should just make it yourself. But I don't know. Maybe you want to get for somebody. And now I wanted to talk about some goals I have for the week. I kind of got, Minerva Turkey's been doing this, and I like it. I'd always kind of thought that if I had a podcast, which apparently now I do, I would do something like this, and And then she was doing it, and I think it's cool. It's nice to be accountable. I really need to find more ways to be accountable. Because, yeah, not getting a lot done these days. Or at least not the things I should be. But I was thinking about, you know, those things that, like, go round and round and round in your head that you know you should be doing? They're the squeaky wheels. And the squeaky wheels are the ones that get the grease. So this week, the squeaky wheels that need the grease this week. First of all, technologically, I need to figure out how to make this a podcast. I just realized that my camera shuts off after an hour. And I've been talking more than an hour. And then I recorded this last segment again, and apparently didn't save it right. So anyways, I'm recording my squeaky wheels again. So technologically, yeah, podcast up. And hopefully some of you are watching this. And I have figured it out. And then as far as my crafty life goes, what I need to focus on actually isn't even really crafting. Though I need to make a whole bunch of gift tags because they're half done. And I need to finish those. But I need to make displays for my wares at the shows. When I did Artoberfest, I had done, displayed my cards using like wooden wash racks or drying racks. I put them up and then I like strung yarn chains between them, and then I clothespin all my cards on them, which was kind of cute. But I had a really giant booth space because there were like no vendors there, and yeah, because it was basically a non-event. But that is not going to be the case at this craft show. I'm going to be in, I believe it's an 8x8 space, so I need to have better displays, and I would like to make some out of barnwood from our barn pile. Yes, we used to have a barn, and then it collapsed, and so now it is the barn pile. And so we need to go and harvest some wood for that, so that we can make those. I want to do like a board with like a kickstandy leg, and then some shelvy kind of things on it. So my husband's going to help me with that, because he has some days off, and that's how he's going to spend them, whether he knows it or not. And I hope to get those done, and I will take some pictures that you can see, because board with a kickstandy thing probably doesn't make much sense. But I need to make something light enough that I can carry it myself, because I am going to be setting up and vending and doing all that good stuff alone at this show. Whereas my husband was able to come and help me set up for the last one. But since it's so far away, he's going to be at home and unable to do that. So yeah, I need to be able to like lift and carry everything and set it all up, and we'll see how that all goes. I'm sure that I will find a way to make it work. I just need to figure out what that way is. And so that is the thing I need to do crafty-wise this week. My squeaky wheel is figure out a way to display all my stuff. And then life-wise, I need to can. I need to can apples. We have about 6 bushels sitting in our kitchen right now. We went apple picking, oh gosh, I think it was over a week, 2 weeks ago. Not this last Friday, because that was Halloween. The one before that, we went a few hours away from here and went apple picking, and it was tons of fun. We picked wine sap apples. Can't remember the name. Yeah, we picked those, and usually we pick Jonathan's. We were late this year when we picked the Stamen wine sap. That's the word I'm looking for. And this year I actually got to be helpful because I wasn't incredibly pregnant like I was last year, and or had an incredibly small newborn. Small. My babies are all huge, but incredibly young newborn, as I have in years past. So, I was able to be productive. I got to pickety-pick all the apples, and that was really fun. We filled the wagon full, and then we put the kids on top and pull it back, and we bring our own wagon when we go, because, we just figured out a system, and it works. And it's fun and cute. And anyways, so now I have a ton of apples. But last year, I was able to make it through the entire winter, and I still have some right now left, of canned chunked apples, applesauce, apple butter, and apple jelly. And so we did not buy any apples this year, and my children are little apple monsters. So that's really cool to not have to buy apples, because apples are really expensive here in Kansas, and the quality of apples in Kansas, having grown up in California, we had incredible produce. If you live in California, your produce is cheap and your produce is good. Go eat more produce. Here, if I want cheap, good produce, I have to grow it myself, and that is impossible when the ground is covered in snow. So then we have to can it. So I do a lot of canning. I will probably discuss a decent amount of my putting up of stuff and our gardening and all that good stuff in future podcasts. But yeah, so I need to put up apples, apple chunks. What we do is we cut the apples up into chunks and leave the skins on and just cut out the cores. And we save the cores. Save your cores. Put them in the freezer. You can make apple jelly out of them because they have their own pectin. And even though the apple jelly doesn't get like super, super thick, we like to put it on cornbread or pancakes. It makes delicious syrup. But I then make some syrup, light syrup up to put my apple chunks in. So 5 1/4 cups of sugar and 2 1/4 cups of water, and you boil that on the stove, and you put your apple chunks in, and then you let your apple chunks like boil till they start to kind of sink a little. They still float. That's not good because when you put them in the jars, then the air will evacuate out the top, and you'll lose a bunch of the syrup, and then you end up with these weird dry apples that they still preserve, but they're not tasty. So it is better to keep poking your apples down into the boily syrup till they quit rising to the top quite so much. And then you fill your jars, and then you put them in a boil water canner, and that's it. And they are delicious, and I use them for all sorts of things. We eat them in oatmeal. I put them on top of pork and just bake it in the oven. And it's like side dish meal all in one. Easy, delicious. And yeah, relatively inexpensive because, I mean, we were picking apples for 50 cents a pound. And we can't buy apples for 50 cents a pound. So, especially not apples that are going to be good. So yeah, so we enjoy doing that, but I need to get on that. So yes, those are my squeaky wheels. I need to figure out how to be a podcaster. I need to make myself a display and figure out how to be a craft salesperson. And I need to can up some apples and figure out how to be a productive food preparer in our house because that's kind of my job. Because that's how we've divided up labor. I make sure everyone gets fed. And hopefully they like what they're eating. So anyways, I guess I should say goodbye already. So I will say hello to the one person I know is watching. Hi, Steve. That's my husband. He is watching me at work in the middle of the night. Are you playing video games? Hi. I was trying to think of something nice to say to him. And the thing that kept popping into my head is kind of a joke. I will explain it. When him and I started dating in high school. One more story, and then I'll leave. Him and I started dating in high school. I was a sophomore, and we've been together ever since. So, we've now been married 8 years, and we dated for 6 before that. So that's a long time. But anyways, in high school French class, I wrote him a Valentine, and I made, you had to write however many sentences, and so I wrote a sentence that was kind of weird, but it had all words that I knew how to say, and so it translated to, I love you more than cows, and cheese, and applesauce, which, as I just told you, we love applesauce, but not as much as I love Steve, and I actually included it in my vows at the wedding, and it was good. It turned out to be a punchline. Everyone laughed. I didn't mean for everyone to laugh at my vows. But it was a welcome relief from all of the, bawling and crying. Because from the time I walked down the aisle to the end of the ceremony, just waterworks, crying. I was not the only one. Everybody was bawling. Happy tears, happy tears. Because remember the whole thing about being friends with your spouse? Yeah, happy tears at our wedding, but lots of tears nonetheless. And so yeah, that was kind of the punchline and comes up from time to time. So anyways, I guess I will tell all of you that if you are still here, I love you more than cows and cheese and applesauce. And I hope that you all have a good one, and I will see you next week. And remember that you do such nice work.